Many people think they know where the term 420 comes from. It is a question that seems to invite colorful and dramatic answers, each more compelling than the last. A popular theory suggests that it was a police radio code, specifically the dispatch for marijuana smoking in progress. Others whisper that it relates to the number of active chemical compounds in the cannabis plant. Some even try to tie its origins to historical figures, claiming it was the tea time of Dutch growers or a secret reference hidden in a Bob Dylan song. These stories are a fascinating part of the folklore, but they share one common trait: they are all incorrect. The truth is often quieter, more accidental, and far more human than the myths we create around it. The real story of 420 does not begin in a police station or a chemistry lab. It does not involve famous musicians or grand legislative acts. The story begins in the autumn of 1971 in Marin County, California, a place already steeped in the counterculture of the era. A group of 5 friends attending San Rafael High School: Steve Capper, Dave Reddix, Jeffrey Knoll, Larry Schwartz, and Mark Gravich, were the protagonists. They called themselves the Waldos, a nickname born from their preferred hangout spot, a wall outside the school. They were typical teenagers, involved in sports and other after-school activities, navigating the social landscapes of their time. Their lives, however, were about to intersect with a piece of local lore that would set them on an unexpected path and unknowingly plant the seed of a future global tradition. One day, a friend of the group approached them with an intriguing proposition. He had a map, he claimed, that led to a patch of untended cannabis plants. The crop was supposedly located near the Point Reyes Peninsula Coast Guard Station, abandoned by a guardsman who could no longer care for it. The challenge was not just finding the plants, but coordinating a time when they could all meet to begin their search. Their schedules were packed with after-school obligations, from football practice to other school-related clubs and activities. After consulting their schedules, they found the perfect window of opportunity. Their various practices and activities all concluded around the same time, giving them a brief moment to gather before heading out on their quest. They decided to meet at 4:20 p.m. at the statue of the French chemist Louis Pasteur that stood on their high school campus. This specific time was chosen for its pure logistical convenience. It was simply the earliest moment that all 5 of them were free. The location, the Pasteur statue, added another layer to their code, and for a short time they would refer to their plan as 420 Louis. The first of many safaris, as they called them, commenced at 4:20 p.m. They would pile into a car, often smoking cannabis on the way. Despite their repeated efforts and enthusiastic searching, they never found the abandoned patch of plants. The treasure hunt was, in that sense, a failure. But something else came out of their adventures. The phrase they used to remind each other of the plan, 420, became a permanent part of their lexicon. It was their secret code, a discreet way to ask if someone wanted to get high later, a simple term that only their inner circle understood. This simple origin story lacks the dramatic flair of a secret police code, yet it reveals something more profound about how culture is made. It shows how a private joke among friends can ripple outward, gathering momentum and meaning until it becomes a global phenomenon. This journey from a teenage code word to an international symbol is a lesson in cultural transmission. For several years, 420 remained a local piece of slang, a private joke shared between the Waldos and their immediate circle of friends in Marin County. Its journey from a high school inside joke to a term of international recognition required a bridge. That bridge appeared as the Grateful Dead. The band had relocated to the hills of Marin County, creating a vibrant cultural hub that attracted artists, roadies, fans. The Waldos found themselves directly connected to this nomadic community. The connections were personal and direct. Mark Gravich's father managed real estate for the band. Dave Reddix's older brother Patrick was good friends with Phil Lesh and managed a side band for him. The Waldos had unprecedented access to rehearsals, parties, backstage life. They were part of the extended family. Hanging out with roadies and crew, they naturally used their slang. 420 was passed along organically in conversation, a convenient and subtle reference to cannabis in settings of music, travel, and communal living. The Grateful Dead's touring operation became the perfect vector. Deadheads formed a transient community traveling from city to city, show to show, creating a nationwide network. Road crew and fans carried the term on the road, at concerts, in parking lots, at communal gatherings before and after shows. 420 circulated more widely. It was catchy, easy to remember, and fit a culture with its own language and rituals. The leap to mainstream came from a publication. In the early 1990s, Stephen Hager, editor of High Times, began investigating the term. He'd heard it at Dead shows and wanted the history. In 1991, High Times printed a flyer referencing 420. And in 1998, after the Waldos reached out, Hager published the first definitive account. By featuring the Waldos, High Times legitimized their claim and broadcast the origin story to its international readership, ensuring 420 became a permanent fixture in global cannabis culture. As the term 420 grew in popularity, its true simple origin became obscured by a fog of more exciting and elaborate myths. Human nature often prefers a dramatic story to a mundane one. A host of competing theories emerge to explain the phenomenon. Perhaps the most persistent of these is the claim that 420 is a police code, either in California or elsewhere, for a marijuana-related offense. This theory has a certain appeal. However, extensive research by journalists and fact-checkers has consistently proven it to be false. There is no evidence of 420 being a standard police radio code for cannabis anywhere in the United States. Another common myth attempts to link the term to the chemical composition of the cannabis plant itself. One popular version of this story claims that there are 420 active chemical compounds in marijuana. While it is true that cannabis is a complex plant containing hundreds of compounds, cannabinoids, terpenes, flavonoids, the number 420 is arbitrary and scientifically inaccurate. The actual number of identified compounds fluctuates as research progresses, but it has never been neatly fixed at 420. Pop culture has also been a fertile ground for 420 mythology. One such story connects the number to Bob Dylan's iconic 1966 song, Rainy Day Women. The song's title includes number 1235. Adherents to this theory point out that if you multiply 12 by 35, you get 420. It is a classic case of finding patterns where none exist. A fun piece of trivia that unfortunately has no basis in fact. Other legends have tried to tie the number to the death dates of famous musicians like Bob Marley, Jimi Hendrix, all of which are easily disproven with a quick search. The endurance of these myths speaks to our collective desire for satisfying narratives. The idea of reappropriating a police code is an act of defiance. The idea of a hidden message in a Dylan song is a romantic notion of artistic genius. The scientific explanation offers a veneer of intellectual credibility. These stories are, in many ways, more interesting than the simple truth of 5 teenagers planning to meet after school. Yet the real story, authenticated with physical evidence like letters, school newspapers provided by the Waldos, stands as a testament to the power of a simple, shared experience and a reminder that history is often made in quiet, unassuming moments. As we explore the factual origins, we will see how a specific time, 4:20 p.m., became a shorthand, and how that shorthand later gave birth to a specific date, April 20th. We will trace its path from the hands of its creators, the Waldos, into the orbit of a legendary rock band. From there, we will follow its leap into print media and, finally, its explosion into the digital age. This is not just the story of a number. It is the story of how a small, private moment can unexpectedly blossom into a shared public ritual, shaping conversations about everything from personal freedom to corporate commerce. The transformation of 420 from a time of day to an annual date was a crucial step in its evolution into a global phenomenon. Once the term was widely understood as a code for cannabis, people began to connect it to the date April 20th, 4/20. What began as a time to meet became a day to gather. A personal code turned into a public celebration. April 20th became the unofficial international holiday for cannabis culture. In cities around the world, Vancouver, London, Sydney, Denver, people started organizing informal gatherings in parks and city squares. Events were often leaderless and spread by word of mouth or online posts. The ritual was simple. Clock hits 4:20 p.m. on 4/20, thousands light up together, a visible moment of shared identity and civil disobedience. Part party, part protest, festive but demanding legal reform. Over time, 420 events evolved with the changing legal and social landscape. Where marijuana is still illegal, 420 often stays a day of protest. Rallies and smoke-ins challenge prohibition, push for decriminalization, and spotlight social justice issues, especially disproportionate impacts on minority communities. For many, attending is a political act, a way to stand in solidarity for change. It's a day to be visibly, unapologetically present. Where cannabis is legal or decriminalized, 420 turned commercial. It became a retail holiday. Businesses offer discounts, launch new products, and host sponsored events. Concerts, festivals, food fairs, turning it mainstream and commercial. Today, more than 50 years after its invention, 420 has become a multifaceted cultural symbol whose meaning is as diverse as the people who use it. For some, it remains a simple, playful nod to the act of consuming cannabis, a time of day to unwind a date to celebrate with friends. It is a piece of shared language that fosters a sense of community and belonging among users, a subtle signal that says, "You are one of us." In this context, its meaning is lighthearted and social, rooted in the simple pleasure of a shared ritual, much like the original intent of the Waldos after-school meetings. However, the term has also grown to carry significant political weight. For decades, it has served as a symbol for the cannabis law reform movement. The annual gatherings on April 20th have been instrumental in drawing public attention to the fight for legalization and decriminalization. For activists, 420 is not just about celebration, it is a call to action. It represents the ongoing struggle for personal liberty, medical freedom, social justice. The commercialization of 420 adds another complex layer. Some celebrate normalization, others fear co-option and sanitization for profit. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.